Okay, hello, I'm Kathy Calvert, the Director of Curriculum Instruction at Muckleshoot Tribal College, and I'm here with Cord Rose, who's the IT instructor, and we're going to talk about integrating emerging technologies into curriculum. Can you please describe your position at Muckleshoot Tribal College?
I work for a grant program that is designed to help in Native communities make people employable. Specifically, we teach them different computer skills to help them find office jobs and RIT jobs. And I specifically teach the program that lines up with industry certifications that are recognized around the world to help students become more employable.
Great. And how long have you had that job?
I've been doing that here in this building for 10 years.
Can you please share about one technology that you incorporate into your curriculum?
Yeah, one of the newest technologies we've started using is called virtualization. Basically, the idea is that we can take one well-built computer and run multiple different operating systems on it. That way, a student can create an individual computer for themselves that they can feel very comfortable working on during class time. Because if they make a mistake, they haven't ruined anything, that they simply crash their virtual computer and we'll just get it back up and running. It's not a big deal. And it doesn't affect the next class. So if at the very end of class a student does something that crashes their computer, we just shut down their computer, and when the next class begins, the student loads their own virtual computer and goes about the day. So that allows us to have a lot more freedom and comfortability with each student.
Yes, I can see where students feel a lot more comfortable with that.
Yes.
And how do you embed that into lesson plans?
Well, part of it, you start off with teaching virtualization. That is a lesson plan all unto itself. What is virtualization? How does it work? Why do we use it in the industry? Why do we use it in classrooms? That's the interesting thing about virtualization is that it's used in industry because there are economic reasons to use it in a variety of different situations. But it's also used in classrooms because it gives us instructors the power and the students the freedom to create computers without fear of harming them. There's no cost. Everything about the virtualization that we do is free. And that gives us, like I said, greater control, greater freedom, and allows the students to do a variety of things. So that's part one. After that, it becomes integrated throughout different lesson plans, because if I'm trying to teach somebody how to do something in an operating system, I don't have to just tell them or just show them. I can allow them to do it. And if you do that with a student station, you have the fear that if a student does something wrong, they could crash the student station, and then that will affect your other classes. So you might not let them do certain things that would be valuable for them to learn, but you can't afford the possible cost. Thanks to virtualization, I can have them do something like registry editing, which in Windows is extremely dangerous if you do it the wrong way. But in their VirtualBox, if they screw up, they just crashed a digital computer, and not a big deal to get it back up and running or just start over again and build a new one. And it doesn't hurt or cost anything other than time.
Right.
And time is okay. Sometimes crashing a computer is a valuable lesson.
Absolutely.
And to be able to give them the freedom to do that and no fear of it costing anything or interfering with somebody else allows me to do all sorts of lessons that were much more difficult to do before the virtualization.
Great. And then they can use that virtual computer throughout the quarter. Is that correct?
Right. They can use it throughout the quarter. The big thing is that in order to keep it free, Microsoft has licensing. Most software is licensed. We don't pay for a license for the students. What we do is we take advantage of a free trial period. So, yeah, they can use that at home as well. It really comes down to, do they have the hardware to support the virtualization?
That's great. It's great to have that access if possible. Can you share about any challenges with this technology and introducing it to adult learners?
With adult learners, sometimes the biggest trick is just helping them understand what virtualization is. They're already trying to learn about computers, and some of them have some experience, and a lot of people don't. A lot of adult learners did not grow up using computers. And so it's one thing, it's already a challenge to just teach them about a computer, and then to teach them the concept of virtualization, which is it's real and it's not real, can be it's just something difficult that adult learners have more trouble wrapping their minds around than, say, some of the younger learners do. They feel more comfortable with these concepts, where adult learners sometimes struggle with things that are more conceptual than they are something you can touch and feel. So there's always a little bit of challenge in that. I have to come up with creative ways to help explain it. And often what I do is I compare it to real life things as we do it virtually. So as I'm teaching them how to set up their virtual, we use a program called VirtualBox. As I'm teaching them to set it up, I say, okay, what you just did in the real world would have been you put a motherboard in a case. Okay, what you just did there was you put a CPU on a motherboard. Okay, what you just did there was add RAM. Now I realize that it's all virtual, but that way they can relate it to something I'm teaching them in class as well. So that helps. But there's still, some people just really struggle with the concept of what it really means. And in the end, I suppose learning how to use it is more important than truly understanding it. But whenever it's possible, understanding makes memorizing easier.
Yes. Okay. Can you share either a success or a failure that you've experienced with this technology in adult learners?
My greatest success would come from that students who are able to experiment with other operating systems besides the one we might be using in class. So, for instance, we're using Windows 7 currently in the classroom, but I give them access to Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows XP if they want to go backwards, Windows 10 for the latest. I also give them access to non-Windows operating systems, which we don't use in class, but are very valuable for them to learn about. Linux is a free operating system. Ubuntu is one of the most popular ones that is easy for basic usage. And I mean basic usage. Like if you have a user who just mostly searches the internet, checks email, and goes to Facebook, I can introduce them to an operating system that's free and that they can run on older computers and everything else. And so for students to come in and get to experience that without having to worry about whether or not they want to put it on a home computer. Like, well, what if I put it on and it didn't work, or I didn't understand it, or I didn't like it? It basically gives them a chance to try new operating systems before they commit to them on their computers at home.
That's a wonderful free trial kind of idea,
exactly.
Right? Well, is there anything else you'd like to share in closing?
The virtualization is very scalable, and that is very useful. We use it. We have a very small classroom here. We only do about 9 students, and so we do virtualization at each of the individual workstations, allowing each student to have their own personal computer in every different class that way. At other colleges, they actually have scaled it up to where there's a really powerful server in another room, and everybody's virtual computers are on that server, so it doesn't even matter what local station they're at. They could switch classrooms and still bring up their virtual computer from that other classroom. It also helps teach them about the real world. Keep in mind that virtualization wasn't invented for the classroom. It's used in business. It's very cost effective, and one of the things we teach is why is virtualization used. And then we can show them the real world. This is how it works in the real world. So it's very powerful. 1, it shows them the real world. 2, it gives them an opportunity to do things they might not be able to do in the classroom otherwise. So that has just been a very valuable add-on to my classroom. And it's only been the last couple of years we've had that, the resources and the free versions available to us to be able to use them in the classroom.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your expertise. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome.